We had Weili Zhang defending her title against Rose Namajunas. It's hard not to love Rose. Thug Rose. Just tough as nails, super kind person, soft-spoken. But when she gets in the ring, my God, it's like she becomes a different person. Like I said, Weili Zhang riding a 21-win streak. Hasn't lost since 2014. And Rose kicks her in the head, knocks her out. It was almost like a little question mark kick at the end. It looked like it was coming a little lower and then just looped over her hand and caught her right on the jaw. And my God, what a shocking knockout. I wanted Rose to win. I expected Weili Zhang to beat her up, and Rose proved me wrong. Oh my God, she looked awesome. What'd you see in that one?
I've seen great left hooks to the jaw that have taken people out or dropped people, like obviously the one that comes to mind is Joe Frazier's great left hook in the 15th round that dropped Ali in their first fight. But I've never seen a great left foot to the jaw, like that. And that was a great left foot to the jaw. I tweeted that I was looking forward to this fight before the fight, like Hagler Hearns. And I tell you, it ended up, in some ways, it ended up like that, suddenly and in a dominant fashion. It really was. What I was impressed with was not just the fact, everyone jumps to the left foot landed on the side of the jaw of Weili and doing the damage it did, but how she set it up. She boxed. She beautifully again, IQ. She. Namajunas, am I pronouncing that right? Namajunas? Yeah, Namajunas. She set it up so magnificently that shouldn't be missed. I know that we're going to all, focus on the foot, and of course you would, because it was so sensational, dynamic, and dramatic. But she set it up by boxing and using her legs and her striking skills and just getting Weili into the kind of lack of focus for something like that she needed to get her into. She took her away from that thinking. She took her into a place where she was thinking about where the strikes would come from different angles, because that's what she was suggesting in her movement, in her boxing. She was moving, boxing, keeping Weili, off balance. And so Weili's thinking, okay, I got to be really alert, in this dimension. Never thinking about the dimension that Namajunas was thinking and had planned for her all along. That's brilliant. Brilliant. Please, everybody, appreciate how brilliant, I'm sure you do, but how brilliant that was to box for the first couple minutes, reminiscent to me in some ways of Masvidal, what he did against Ben Askren, when it was much shorter. It happened right at the very beginning, but he had a plan too to set up Askren, and it was executed. He moved off to the side a little bit. First of all, he was laying against the fence in a nonchalant way. Then when the bell rings, he moves off to the side, and then what? He makes the attack, and he throws the knee, knowing that Askren was going to be going for the shoot, and he knocks him out with the knee. He set it up, but he set it up with that subtle movement off to the side with his legs, where he took Askren away from the thinking that he should have been thinking. He disarmed him. He disarmed him mentally, and that's what Namajunas did.
Rose.
Yeah, that's what Rose. Thank you. That's a little easier. That reminds me of the great Marv Albert. I did my first Olympics in Australia, and it was 2000. I want to remember the year. I believe it was.
2000 was Australia. Audley Harrison brings home gold for Great Britain.
That's right. I'm so glad you know how to use a computer. You're the best. It was
No, Audley Harrison is my friend.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, you got a lot of friends. I never know who you're gonna pull out.
Of course.
Who you're gonna pull out at what time? I gotta be alert too, because it could come from any angle. Bang! I get caught. I could get caught by Robert Redford.
You just
Anything.
said you were just highlighting keeping them off balance.
Beautiful. And so I'm doing that Olympics, the first one, and I'm with the great I'm thinking of Marvin Hagler. They're both great, but the great Marv Albert, and we're doing all these names that I've already proven I'm no Orson Welles. I think I've proven that already. But you need phonetic spelling for them. They're difficult. They're from all different places in the world. And oh my God, I can't even read them, much less pronounce them, right? So it's a little scary, and I'm trying to pronounce this guy. One guy, I forget where he was from, but one of the former Iron Curtain countries, and
Azerbaijan.
Yeah, one of those type places where the names were pretty difficult. And so anyway, I'm wrestling with it a little bit. And finally, I say, well, the Bulgarian in the blue trunks is doing a tremendous job of controlling geography. And Marv Albert wasn't quite as, he's the greatest, but he wasn't quite as forgiving and gentle as you were in lending a hand. He turns to me and says, Teddy, you cannot do that. You cannot replace Blue Trunks for his name. We have to be better than that. And so, at least we have to give his first name. I said, there it is. And then I looked at it and I said, but Marv, his first name is just as difficult as his last name. I mean, I'm going back to the Blue Trunks. I'm going back to the Blue Trunks, but. Yeah, Rose.
How about we just call her Thug Rose?
Well, Rose, I'll tell you, Rose, as I said, she set that up so well, so beautifully. Boxing, moving, getting Weili in a sort of comfort zone that you should never be in, getting her out of the mode she needed to be in, and then suddenly coming with a kick when she's got it thinking about boxing. So it was well thought out, great IQ, and on top of that, to make it even more impressive to me, was she does it with her lead foot, Ken, like the jab hand, the lead hand. She does it with the lead, and there's no mistake to me about why she did that. It's not an accident, because you can't pick up the front foot coming quick enough, because it's going to come from a closer distance and from an angle where you're not going to pick it up. You're not going to see it. If you do it with the back foot, which is probably her more powerful leg, to be quite honest, if she did it with the back foot, the right foot, you would have been able to pick it up because there's more distance to cover, and you would have saw it coming. And it might not have gotten through. It might have been blocked, or it wouldn't have had the same impact because she would have been prepared for it. So that was part of the brilliance too, was that she did it with the lead foot, which would be harder to recognize it coming, harder to see it coming. So well calculated, well planned. Kudos to her and her team, all of her trainers, Trevor Whitman, all of them, every one of them.
Her partner is Pat Barry, former UFC fighter, and he's one of her trainers as well.
So all of them did their job. You couldn't do it better. Like I said, 1 minute she's boxing, and the next minute, out of the sky, bang, comes a lead foot that you have no way of seeing it coming. And the impact was so devastating that Weili, in the interview afterwards, and was arguing that the stoppage was too quick. She was out. I mean, that old saying, the film doesn't lie, the video doesn't lie. We see her that she's on the ground, she's out for that moment, she's out, and so the fight, of course, had to be stopped. But then afterwards, she's her pride and again the warrior mentality, which is incredible. She's saying it shouldn't have been stopped. She doesn't realize, it became evident in the interview that she didn't realize that she was out. And you're on co-pilot. Ken, these fighters in my business, obviously in the UFC too, they program their minds. We program the minds so strongly that no matter what happens, you're ready to keep going. So even when you have a short circuit, and get knocked out is sort of a short circuit where suddenly the electricity gets disconnected from your brain and the body short circuits. I think that's a real kind of simple way of explaining, but it gets the point across. And so you have to short circuit, and right after the short circuit, the lights go on again. And so you forget the lights were out sometimes, like for a split second. Were the lights out? Did we have a blackout there? Or did the lights really go out for a moment there? You're not sure. And that's kind of what happens with a person who is so strong, mentally, so set, so resigned to go no matter what, like the Terminator, to just keep going, that they have difficulty understanding that lapse, that disconnect, that, no, I wasn't out. And they will argue with you. I wasn't out. Well, I don't want to be, rude and at the time with such a sensitive moment, but it's like, well, look at the video and you'll see that you are out. And of course, nobody wants to do that, but that shows you the just the mindset of these warriors, that they don't know about that gap. And it reminded me, there was another one, because it was way back on HBO years ago, where Marlon Starling, who was a welterweight champion of the world, he was defending his title. I believe, if my memory is correct, it was against Molina. And it was on HBO, as I said, and the great Larry Merchant. Larry Merchant was great. The great Larry Merchant was doing the interview after Starling had been caught with this punch that he never saw, and he got knocked out, if my memory is right. And they're talking about it, and then all of a sudden Merchant realizes that Starling doesn't realize that he was down. He doesn't realize that he was out, and so it really was an incredible interview, if you look at that, because Merchant had to say to him, well, you were down. And Stalin looked at him and said, I was never down. Well, you were down. But no, I wasn't down. And this, again, the same phenomena, if you will, was taking place, that these great warriors, Starling in this case, was so determined. His mind was so, pre-programmed, preordained in his mind that nothing's going to stop me, that I'm going to get my mission accomplished. And that moment where he's disconnected, where he's short-circuited from his body, that he can't recognize that he's still ready to go in his mind.